Hey, business building warrior. Welcome to a fresh episode of Silent Sales Machine Radio. I'm your host today, Jim Cockrum. I'll be bringing on some great guests here soon. If you're new around here, this podcast is very unique in the online business world where there's tens of thousands of podcasts you could be listening to. Thanks for listening to this one. There's something that we're the only ones that we do what we do, and that is we've got a course that we created, Proven Amazon course. It's about 12 years old at this point. This show is primarily dedicated to interviewing the students of that course. Because we figured if we're going to create courses and content and training, teaching people how to build successful businesses, well, shouldn't we have a whole bunch of people who are using the courses and training and content to build successful businesses that we can talk to? That's what this show is. You're going to hear hundreds of episodes where we've talked to our students. In some cases, they've built multiple six-figure businesses per month. In other cases, they're just getting ramped up and going through some of those initial struggles, everything in between. And then we have plenty of great content episodes as well, where we talk specific strategies and insights based on what we've learned. In my case, having been in e-commerce for 20 years as the only income for my family. I love building multiple income streams, using the internet creatively, love helping other families do the same thing. And today we're going to meet a family that's on that journey. It's a homeschooling family. They're not starting off with a whole lot of money. They haven't been doing it very long. They're fitting it into the cracks of their life. He works full time. She stays home and homeschools the kids. But in their spare time, the few hours a week that they have, they're starting to put a little bit of money into the basic Amazon selling strategy that we teach around here. We call it replens. Replens is basically helping Amazon fill its underserved shelf space in their hundreds of warehouses around the United States. You can do this from anywhere in the world. We have students all over the world who buy and sell inventory in the US, in many cases without seeing or touching it. But today you're going to meet Marcus and Prissy, last name withheld upon request for privacy purposes, but they're doing a great job. You're going to hear the excitement and the enthusiasm in their voice. This has been a divine journey, is the best way to say it. They've done this with a lot of prayer. They've been blessed at random points when they really needed something specific from God. It's shown up. It's almost a miraculous story of the timing of things. I had the pleasure of meeting these guys at our most recent conference in July of 2023. They're already eagerly anticipating attending the May 2024 event, which will be in Orlando. Details on that can be found at theprovenconference.com. There's a link to our Orlando 2024 event. We had about 650 people show up last year. I think in 2024, we'll probably have about that or more, again, because this community is something truly special. And you'll hear them talk quite a bit about that on today's episode. We did have a couple audio issues today. I just wanted to point out sometimes when we interview guests and two of them are sharing the same microphone, one of them comes through a little louder, a little softer till the microphone adjusts at times. So sometimes when you transition from one to the other, there's a couple seconds of weird noise. We did our best, but just setting you up for that. Hopefully you can bear with us and get through that today. They talk about some of the tools that they use in their business today. Just want to remind you, at any given time for any of our episodes, you can go to silentjimdotcom and see links to the tools and resources mentioned on the episodes. Any reference to that stuff, we just try to stick it there for your convenience so you don't have to scribble down notes as you're listening. Just get over to silentjim.com, which is the same place, by the way, where you can find information on our coaching program, our proven Amazon course. There's a link to that, our free Facebook group with 73,000 members. We just passed our 10-year anniversary there, chock full of incredible success stories from the members of this community. If you want to go see some of those great stories and interact with people who are doing this business, which, by the way, let me give you a little tip. If you're new to e-commerce or maybe you're looking for a business model that'll work for you and you're seeing a lot of ads and offers and YouTube videos and people talking about helping you make money using the internet, there's one little simple test that you need to use before you spend any money with anybody on any training offer or opportunity. It's a very simple question that you can ask the people in charge of that business opportunity. And the question goes something like this. You can post it online or send them an email and see what response you get. The question is, where do your successful students hang out online discussing the realities of this business model. Did you catch that? Rewind it, listen to it again if you missed it. That's a great question. And the fact is, 99% of everyone out there who's teaching e-commerce strategies will say something like, well, we don't really have that. Oh, our students like to be left alone. Oh, we've thought about doing that, but we haven't done it yet. Did you notice we've got some cool testimonials with first names and pictures on our website? That's not good enough. You want to go hang out in a community of people who are actively doing the business model and succeeding. Some are failing, some are struggling, some are sharing their victories, some are sharing their blood, sweat, and tears, but they're proceeding forward with plenty of people having success using the strategies that are taught. And if you can't be part of a community like that, that's active and engaged, uplifting, with an abundance mindset, hey, you probably are looking at a bad idea, which is what about 99% of all business opportunities online are. Very bad ideas that make the person selling a course a lot of money, don't ultimately make you any money. So be very cautious where you spend your money. I'm proud of the fact that our community, again, our free Facebook group, 73,000 members from around the world, active, engaged, supportive, encouraging each other throughout the day. You're not going to find a lot of places like that online. Get over to silentjimdotcom and check it out for yourself. Ask us the hard questions. We're there to help you out. Well, that's a great introduction, I think, to get our guests today. Again, Marcus and Prissy are going to join us on the line in just a moment, talk through the realities of their story. You're going to be encouraged. You're going to just fall in love with these guys. And I think you're going to even want to come to the event just to meet them because they're just so full of energy, so excited, so committed and dedicated and on fire about what they've discovered in this community and the trajectory that they're now on with the goal of having $50,000 in sales as we wrap up 2023. That's their year-end goal, starting with very humble means and building on a beautiful trajectory. So enjoy their story. Let's jump into it. So Marcus and Prissy, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim. It's great to be here.
Great to see you guys again. Yeah, it's just been a few weeks ago. We were all hanging out together at the conference, and you guys just had this joy and excitement. I had to get you on the show, and I'm so excited we finally got it on the calendar. So let's dive into your story. You guys ready?
Yeah, sure. We are.
All right, Marcus, why don't we start with you, buddy, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, it goes back to about the year 2012 when I first heard your name and dove into what this PAC course was all about and, kept reading and just doing research and reading. And obviously what led me to want to search this out was just the idea that I was trying to get away from the rat race and just, the idea that I was stuck or captive for 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day in a place. And although I am still currently full-time employed, I was looking for an opportunity that would provide me the ability to step away from that and spend more time with those that matter the most, my family and, of course, my faith. And so that being said, I continued to do research. And I think about 2013 or 14 is when I finally moved forward and purchased the course. And then, of course, we had 3 small children back then, very busy homeschool life, and just so many things going on that I think there was a period of time where we did nothing with it. We were just grateful to have it, but we didn't do anything with it. And then, of course, 2015, fast forward, we attempted to try and say, okay, we got this. We really need to do something with this course and all the great content that Jim is providing. And we attempted to do so. And we did the first thing that you shouldn't do. We went out and bought a whole bunch of stuff, not knowing what we were going to do with it. But we said, this is probably something that's going to sell. And it wasn't expensive, but it was just a little bit of everything.
Sure.
Yeah, it was toys, like toddler and infant toys. And so we came back, we sat down, opened up an account with Amazon. And then I don't know if Amazon was that different. Well, it is different than it is today, but it was so complicated to navigate the website, with Amazon, all the details. And every time you entered something, it would say, you got it wrong, or you did something wrong. And we were just getting flustered. And then we noticed, we're something, it says gated and gated and gated. And we were like, everything we have is gated. We can't sell this. So we kind of lost the steam and, things fizzled out a bit and we kind of just stopped and we were like, you know what? Let's try and do this again in the future. But for now, let's just walk away. Other things were happening in our lives during that time. It was a transitionary period. I used to own my own business and then transitioning back into the workforce. And so that stopped again. And then as life and just the things that would happen would have it, we fast forward from 2015 to 2022. So it took 7 years, kind of like the 7 years of Jacob? 7 years. And after 7 years of just trying to do so many different things, we said, why are we wasting our time trying to do other things? We've had this here for all this time. We still listen to the podcast every once in a while. We know this works because we've heard it and we believe it. Let's try again. And this time it was very different because I think my wife can take over here because she would like to talk about, because I was presenting it to her and she was like, we've already tried this and it didn't work. And she was kind of not very receptive to hearing me out regarding trying it again. But I was so anxious to do it all over again because I know it worked. I just needed her to be on board because I knew that if she wasn't on board with me, nothing was going to happen. We do everything together. So if she wasn't a part of it, it wasn't going to be successful. And then it was our anniversary, right?
Yeah.
May 2022. You want to take it from there?
Well, obviously, we left the kids at home and we just took a nice little getaway to Bonita Springs, Florida, which is one of my favorite places. And I was in the car and we were listening to, that jazz music, and he's like, wait a second, can we switch it up a bit? And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is perfect music. We're going to the beach. The kids are at home. Everybody's fine. Let's continue. He goes, well, there's a podcast that I really want you to be listening to. And it's going to bless our heart. And I'm thinking, oh, it's probably, a pastor, someone that's going to, fill our spiritual needs. I'm okay with that. He goes, well, it's a different type of ministry. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'm open. I was relaxed. I was, loving him a little more because he took me on a getaway. And sure enough, it was the Silent Sales Radio, podcast radio. And I'm like, what are you trying to do? Another business? Oh, Marcus, we know. He goes, Prissy, give me a chance. And he just gave me a chance. And I said, okay, fine. We heard this amazing story of these two nurses that had quit their jobs and they were just doing amazing in this business. And we just couldn't believe that two people that were nurses that, were professionals that made good money, left their businesses to do this full time. And their story was just amazing. And I just couldn't believe what I was listening to. It was just coming to the Lord again, but in a different way.
That's really an aha. She couldn't stop talking after that podcast. And I was like, yes.
So that was the first time you'd heard our show, Prissy.
Yes. It was
and Marcus, you'd been listening for a long time. I think the show launched 2016. So you'd been listening kind of since the beginning on and off.
Yep.
Yes.
When Prissy finally heard an episode, you kind of were both in at that point. And that was 2022, you said? So over a year ago.
May 2022.
It was May. It was his birthday month,
right.
May 2022.
Yeah,
And
so a few months past a year ago.
Yes.
And you guys were kind of both emotionally involved at that point, it sounds like. Like, okay.
Yes. And
we want to take this serious.
She was a captive in the car. She couldn't get away from me.
Right.
So
That's a good way to do it, man.
I said, she's in the car. We're on our anniversary, going to do something that's joyful and fun. I said, you just can't find a better moment to put, to throw it on her at that moment.
You kind of rolling the dice though, man, because I know my wife with anniversaries, it's like no business allowed, dude.
I know. But we were blessed, and I feel that it was definitely an anointed moment, if you will. Mm-hmm. And she just really caught on, and she kind of the switch flipped for her, and she understood that this was so much more, and there was so much more there, and which is what I had seen, but just the trials of life and the difficulties and the things that come up and and happen in your life. There's really when is the right moment, and the right moment is when, and we believe when the good Lord says it so. And obviously, May 2022 was when that door was open and we walked through it. And then we haven't stopped walking since.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I was in the car. I was listening to the podcast. I went to the gym. It was part of, after I listened to my, my spiritual podcast and spent time, this was the next thing on my list. And it started changing my heart. It started changing my mind. It started helping me see that this could be a possibility, because at the same time, we're an one income family and we wanted it to stay that way. And I kept on telling Marcus, should I get a job just to help out with certain things? And he kept on telling me, Prissy, you have not lost your job. Your job is to stay home with our kiddos, and God has blessed us. And, I tell him we have more faith than funds, Jim. And, and it's been like that ever since. We've been homeschooling. Marcus, I tell him that he's not the one that, supports us. It's the good Lord through whatever avenue he chooses, because he's the one that does it for us. And we've seen the miracles in our lives.
He's definitely our Jehovah Jireh. And let me tell you, Jim, she loved when you said, bringing daddies home.
Yes, I love that.
You've said that for so long.
I know.
And it is our heart. It is our desire, both of us, for me to come home. And I know that I may even work harder, but it's a different type of work. Once you're home with your family, you see your children grow, you can share memories with them, you can speak life into your children, into your wife. It is a totally different environment than being out there, helping someone else reach their goals or their milestones in life versus, when are we going to get an opportunity to build not only God's kingdom, but what God has for us?
And we did that. We had that little, blessing of being together, because we had a very good pool business. And, I ran all the permits and he was,
I was the contractor.
He was the contractor.
Okay.
So we did really well,
very well together.
So I wanted.
He was an excellent helpmate and office manager.
And I wanted that back. I wanted that back, Jim, but I just didn't know how it was going to happen. And the thought of having to go out and get a job, I wanted to be available and continue to be available for my kiddos.
Because we're also a homeschool family.
Right.
So. Just the ability to blend it all together. It's priceless. And there's no lack of virtue in parents that got to get up early and leave, and they just go and do what they have to do. I always want to give them a shout out, because that's admirable. That's virtuous. That's by God's design. You are the provider protector, especially as the dad. Like, if you're not providing and protecting, you're kind of dropping the ball, dude. Yes. But what if you had the opportunity to do those things from home? And that's what I was able to do it for 20 years. My kids are growing, getting married now. Over 20 years. And I can just say it was such a blessing for our family to be able to have this office door over here open most of the time. My kids could just walk right in and interrupt my day with a question or picture they'd drawn, or, hey, can we go for a walk? What a blessing that is. And I want that for as many families as possible. Sometimes people say, well, what about the moms? What about the grandparents? What about what about families who don't have kids? Why are you always talking about bringing dads home? Like, that was just my experience. I was a dad who got to come home. I want that for other dads. I don't know what it feels like to be a mom or a grandparent yet, although we got a grandkid on the way. I'll know soon.
Right? That's right.
I'll know very soon. But, our content works for anybody. But, man, I know what it's like to be a dad who's got to get up earlier than he wants to, stays at work longer than he wants to, working harder than he thinks he should have to earn less than he thinks he's worth. Like, I know what that feels like. And so, I love bringing dads home and seeing couples do the business together. And you're speaking to my heart. All right, well, let's keep the story going. Let's get into, you said you started taking it serious. This is May 2022, a year plus a few months ago.
May 2022.
How's it gone since?
So, May 2022 is when we started, I would say establishing the foundation of what was necessary for the business to actually start. When I say establishing the foundation, it was a moment of getting motivation, studying, learning, listening to what others were doing that worked, listening to all the gold nuggets that you gave in the podcast, hearing the different business models that you would present, replens and wholesale and private label and all this other stuff. Learning Keepa. When you went into detail about that, and we would write down which are the episodes that you would mention to ad nauseum to make sure that everyone knew where to go to get that information. And so we started to do, I would say, a very brief study of what we should do to prepare. And of course, as a one-income family, the funding was definitely an issue. We wanted to start with a reasonable amount of money, but didn't have much. So we just started to kind of prepare is what we did. And finally, we said, well, it gets to that point where you can't prepare any further. The next step is you've got to start. You got to launch. Exactly. And so on the third week of October, the 17th, something like that of October, we said, we're starting now. And we converted our Amazon account from the free one to the professional one because we said, listen, we have to come into the mentality that you have to act as if. So we haven't sold anything yet, but we're definitely not going to feel a sense of urgency if we keep this free account, because now that we're paying for it, we're invested. So we got to do something. So we started doing the 40, I think it's $40, something like that. We did that. And then we started with, what was it, $200 to $500?
Yeah, it was not a lot.
It was almost nothing.
He didn't give me a lot of money.
Yeah, the budget was very small.
I just started praying to the Lord, and I said, "Oh God, you're an awesome God. The earth is yours and everything in it." And I said, "We need more funding for the fact that we wanted to buy products." And I love the idea of replens. I loved when you said boring stuff, and I'm like, I love boring stuff. I could do boring stuff. Just going into that aisle 3, and picking up the same products. I was excited about that. So sure enough, when Marcus, just going a little back, he had gotten like short-term disability from his job because of an injury that he had. We had qualified for a program here where we live about renter's assistance. And we were able to receive some rental assistance back then. And sure enough, I was praying, asking God, and Marcus receives a text message all of a sudden that says, "Hey, we still have some available funding for renter's assistance. If you still qualify, please fill out the application, and we will, pay a couple of months of rent for you guys." Sure enough, our funding, our funding came through. So we could buy some replens.
We paid that rent for like a couple of months, and we used the money that we would have used for rent for the business.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, that's so great. I mean, yeah, we hear so many stories of people starting with just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you guys have such a genuine, joyful spirit about you. And obviously, it hasn't been an easy road.
No, it has not.
But just even meeting you at the conference, just this unsinkable spirit. And
appreciate that.
Just can tell you guys have a close walk with the Lord, man. I love it because it's so part of what you guys are sharing today.
We love him, Jim. We're so grateful to God. We're not supposed to be doing what we're doing right now. And I still haven't gone into like more of a blessing of being part of Jim's coaching program. That's another huge, huge prayer answered.
Fantastic. Well, let's keep the story going. I don't know if we'll use the video for this one or not, if it'll be audio only, but just, seeing you guys and the joy on your faces, I just had to describe it for the listeners today. You guys are so excited about this journey, and there hasn't really been any really big good news yet. Just God's faithful. The bills were paid. Some extra money showed up when you needed it to get your business going. And here we go.
Yes.
No doubt. And I think we sold maybe $200. No, maybe not even $200 the last 2 weeks of October.
Yeah.
And then we may have doubled that in November. And the transition from November to December, things just really took off in December. And we went from like not even $500 in sales in November to like, for us anyway, we were like almost $2,700 in sales in December. We were like, woo! I mean, we did it. And of course, no milestone in this business is too small. But for us, 2,700 was like somebody saying they had 30,000 in sales in 1 month. You know, for us, that's the way it felt,
Sure.
And we definitely started to realize, oh, so that's what they mean by fourth quarter.
Right.
And things just really took off. And then the end of December came, and it was Christmas time. With other
homeschoolers, because they want to be with friends and it's important. So sure enough, one of the teachers tells my daughter, hey, I see your mom's name on Jim's Facebook page. And she's very encouraging, and
she's always
commenting. So my daughter's like, oh yeah, my mom's doing Amazon. And she's really excited about it. And she goes, well, I'm going to put you in contact with someone that is doing Amazon, and she's wonderful. Oh man, she was an angel from the Lord. She's actually part of your coaching. She's one of your coaches in your program. And, Susan, I'm going to say the last name, but Susan. She came into my life, and, I was just hungry just to have a companion, someone that, aside from us, that understands how this works. And we went for coffee. And
it was local.
Yes, she's local. And sure enough, she says this to me, and it was like, oh God, I know this is for us. She says, Priscilla, look at this business. Look at the passage in God's word about Ruth and Boaz, and how she was able to just pick those leftover grains, and she still filled up her baskets. This is what Amazon is. We're the ones that are picking up that leftover grain. And right there, I knew that this was for us.
She said it's enough to go around for everyone.
Exactly. And it's enough to go around for everyone. So sure enough, I got her number. Every question I had, anything I was looking at in the store, I would just take a picture, and I was, I'm like, am I doing it right? Is this? She's like, okay, you're doing it this way. She would send me little videos. She was just, so gracious and loving. And of course, she's a pastor's wife. So even better. So sure enough, we wanted to do we prayed about it. We wanted to do the coaching program so much, Jim. And we called coaching.
And we spoke to Deborah, I believe.
Yep.
And she was so welcoming.
Yes.
She's such a beautiful person over the phone. I mean, it's just, we never met her. We met her at the conference.
Yes.
Oh,
and
good.
What a blessing. I mean, it was such a blessing to meet her. But just speaking with her, she was like the perfect person to present coaching. I mean, or anything else for that matter. It's just such a beautiful person. And, she set up an appointment for us to just go over and to see, and I remember her words, to see if this would be a right fit for you. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, oh yeah, we just want the coaching and we're going to get it. And that's it. It's not something you can just take off the shelf and buy. This is something that really has to work.
We turn down people every day who aren't positioned, aren't ready, don't have the margin in their life. Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah. I love Deborah. To me, she just kind of, she personifies empathy.
Yes.
Like most of us have an empathy threshold where like, it's just hard to care. I've cared as much as I'm going to care today, people. She doesn't have one of those. She is empathetic from the time she wakes up till the time she goes to sleep with literally everybody she encounters. It's incredible. And just the number of people that she's developed relationships with. She's been with us quite some time. I mean, thousands of students have had conversations with her at this point. It just loves it. And people will say, call me back in 6 months. She will.
Yeah.
And she'll pick up where you left off.
Yeah, she was very special. She is very special. And she took the time to, set up the appointment and then went through explaining everything. And, we obviously shared where we were at, what we were wanting to do, what we were trying to do, how we planned on doing it. And, the business model that we had chosen, I want to establish, we have only done FBA. We have not done merchant. And we did that purposely. We said, we're only going to do FBA because I believe that it sets us up in a better position for success, not knocking down merchant fulfilled because I do want to experience that, but just thinking, I think where we're at, we need all the help we can get. And FBA is like having a whole bunch of people working for you, basically.
You get Amazon's team doing all the heavy lifting, basically.
Exactly. And so based on all the podcasts that we heard and your advice, we said, I think we should start where we have the best opportunity for success. So FBA replens model. And that's the only thing technically we've done. Maybe a tiny little bit of OA because we found it online and we bought it and we had it sent over. And we went through the same experience that you've mentioned before when you've got product that it's like we went to pick it up at the store and something was missing or something was broken. And then we had to try and replace it. And we were like, you know what, let's just stick to replens RA for now. And we can explore OA later because let's wait until we have more experience and we have more sales before we get into that. But anyway, getting back to the coaching. So this is where she explained everything. And then we had a few days to think about it and to sit down and see how, when she shared, all the costs involved and all that stuff. And we kind of just sat down and, almost like like an accountant with an abacus, started to put all the beans over here and be like, hey, can we do this? Is it possible? Do we have the funding? Are we able to? And then we finally both looked at each other and said, we have to be sincere and honest with each other. And obviously now is not the time because we don't have the resources to do this. We're just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, just blood, sweat, and tears. And the coaching, eventually someday we'll be able to do that. But we're just going to have to do it on our own. And we're going to have to use the podcast and Jim's great advice. And that's going to be our coaching and the PAC course.
So anyways, I went back into prayer.
Yes.
Again. And I prayed specifically to the Lord. First of all, it was December. And it's a beautiful month because, of Christmas. And we celebrate Christmas. And I said to the Lord, I read Psalm 50:10. And I said that, Lord, you are the creator of the world. And you created everything, even the cattle on 1,000 hills. And if you've done this, Lord, I want coaching. I would love for you. You have the resources, Lord. If it is your good and perfect will, I want you to give us coaching. So Marcus kept on telling me, hey, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, coaching. And and he's like, Chrissy, we already did the numbers. We can't do this yet. Maybe in the future, we just need to sell a little more. And I said, I know, Marcus, but I want it now. And I want it in December. Sure enough, Jim, I got a text message. I think it was December 23rd from Susan. She says, Prissy, there's someone that I need you to get on their schedule, Matt Thompson. I need you to reach out to him because he's trying to get a hold of you. And there's something that he wants to tell you. And I said, really? Oh my gosh. Okay. So I got on his schedule. And on the 26th of December, we received the wonderful news that we were gifted to be part of the coaching program.
I wish the conversation could have been recorded because we just went, it was just like your favorite team won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It was just so exciting. We still are excited. Yeah. We still are shell-shocked.
Wow. I'm receiving it, Lord, with everything. I'm going to, work our tails off to just make sure that we don't squander this blessing. This is something that we value. And sure enough, we were told that we could go to the conference as well, which is so funny because our daughter got into a car accident with my husband's car. Thank God she was fine. She was just hit in the back. And the car went into the shop and we got a rental. So the Lord even provided a rental for us to go to the conference, We
drove all the way from Florida to Ohio.
Yes, it was our first time.
It was our first time in the rental. So, everything was provided for in very unique circumstances, but it happened.
That's phenomenal. Wow, you guys. We'll get back to the show in just a second, but I've got to tell you about a new sponsor to this program, Ecom Balance. They help e-commerce sellers and Amazon sellers with their bookkeeping. Your accountant is not your bookkeeper, by the way. You've got to be keeping great books. That's how you know if you're profitable or not. If you're struggling to know your numbers, you don't want to be operating on gut instinct. Our friends at Ecom Balance are there to help you out. You can go to Ecom Balance and mention that you heard about them from this program, and they'll give you 2 free months of bookkeeping so you can try them out. A link that takes you straight to the offer is, write this down, it will also be in the show notes, by the way. jimc.biz/keeper. Again, jimc.biz/keeper, as in bookkeeper. Go check them out. Check out their 2 months free offer. Tell them we sent you. Let's get back to the show.
So the Lord even provided a rental for us to go to the conference,
We drove all the way from Florida to Ohio.
Yes, it was our first time.
It was our first time in the rental. So, I mean, everything was provided for in very unique circumstances, but it happened.
That's phenomenal. Wow, you guys. Yeah. And I don't even know the circumstances. I know we've got a very generous team. I instruct them all the time. Bless our students, bless the community, coaching students coming in. And if you feel led to step up and do something, we have people donate all the time. I got an email, a text message. This has been about 2 weeks ago from someone who said, the Proven Amazon course is way underpriced. I've received so much value from it. I just want to buy it for someone that I just saw discussing in a thread in our Facebook group. I want to buy it for them. Can you help me do that? I'm like, absolutely. So we discounted it way down, gifted it over. Just the generosity that flows in this community because of that abundance mindset that we encourage. It doesn't surprise me at all. I don't know the circumstances behind how you guys got coaching and who paid for it and who picked up I have no idea, but it doesn't matter. That's just kind of the community that we all benefit from. And I love that that's how it worked out for you guys. That's phenomenal.
Yes. And we're so blessed. We've been able to have a few coaches help us, and what amazing people.
Every one of them is perfect for what they're doing. And there's just a community. I mean, you see it in the community, in the chats and in the conversations and in the guests that you bring, and it's just amazing. But if you think that's good, the coaches are just as good and even better than that.
Yeah.
And they have been perfectly chosen to be there to provide the guidance and the mentorship and the assistance. And they're so knowledgeable, and they're so friendly, and they're so welcoming, and they're so ready to help at any moment's notice. And it is a testimony to the blessing and the hard work that you've put in, and that all of the people that have come alongside you to create this amazing e-commerce platform and model to be able to help so many people that they don't even know yet that it's coming their way, but it will. And when it does, if you're not doing it, it's because you don't know. Because once you find out, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's just a logical next step. And it doesn't matter where you are. There's a place for you to begin wherever you are at. Yeah. And that is what I find so amazing, that it doesn't matter if you have funding, you don't have funding, if you have knowledge, if you don't have knowledge. There is definitely someone in the community that's going to say something that's going to give you what you need to move to that next step. Yeah. I think that's amazing.
It is pretty incredible. I benefit every day from this community, and I can take very little credit for anything except keeping out the clowns. I do my best, and I'm not perfect, but I do my best to keep out the clowns.
Thank you
because
for that.
If all we have in common is we're trying to build businesses using virtuous business models that allow us to work flexible schedules, be around the people we love, support the causes we believe in, like that, we have those things in common.
Yes.
That's all you get, a group of people that think like that see the world through an abundance lens, meaning there's a lot of opportunity out there. Let's go discover it together and share it with each other. And you even mentioned earlier, the story of Ruth and Boaz, and I think it was the gleanings, right? The Hebrew tradition of the gleanings, where when they plowed a field, they would, if a field might be a perfect rectangle, they would curve when they hit the corners, and they would leave the corners untouched. They wouldn't go back and pick the corners. They would leave them untouched. And that way, people who had nothing would have at least the dignity of going out and getting their own food. It didn't have to be spoon-fed to them. They could go pick it on their own, and maybe even sell it or whatever. Those are the gleanings. And this whole Amazon opportunity is like that. Like, I can be the guy that's like really hitting it, but there's little corners of opportunity everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, come here, help yourself, man. Here's how I found the last 50 profitable product. Go do it. Take a few of them. I don't care. people texting each other, winning ASINs and winning strategies all day, every day around here. I mean, it's ingrained into the culture of this group. And I love seeing people benefiting from it with the very real stories. Because the community's grown to the point now, 73,000 people in our Facebook group. I mean, that's a lot of people to kind of try to keep tabs on.
Yes.
Even our event was, 650 plus people. Like, that's a chance to see everybody for a few seconds, maybe. But there's a spirit that just flows through this whole thing. And you guys are encapsulating and you guys are describing it very, very well today. But I do want to get into, like, how's business now? How can I be helpful to you today? How's it going? Because we're pretty close up to modern time on the calendar now. Like, we're up to present day. Just a few months ago, you guys got into coaching. So talk me through, what numbers are you hitting? What strategies are you using? And see if I can be of some help.
Sure, definitely. I mean, I will say this, because we started with such smaller funding, we kind of heard about the Small and Light program. And that's really where we started, because it was the low-hanging fruit for us. And so we became sort of experts on Small and Light, and we really pushed that, $10 to $12 figure of Small and Light. Now, I know the Small and Light program has already gone to the wayside. It's no longer an active program, but it helped us to learn what we would have to do to pivot to the new pricing strategy that Amazon has in place. But it also caused us to understand that we couldn't just stay at Small and Light. We had to open up that horizon when it came to ASINs and profitable products. So we started implementing other products that were higher cost, $15, $18, $20, $25. And we started to do that. And we definitely saw the difference once we had the coaching kick in. There was definitely a difference from, the sales in the month of December of maybe 2,600. And I remember we had a meeting with Susan in January, and then we were trying to hit 3,000 in sales for the month of January. We actually did surpass our sales in January from December. And then we started to listen to, is it the 10,000, Jimmy Smith 10,000 podcast per month, 0 to 10,000. And we said, okay, that's our goal. We should focus on 0 to 10,000 right now, and we'll worry about all that other stuff later. And so we're still on that path right now as we speak. But our sales, we've been able to finally get to 5,000 in sales in 1 month. And again, for us, I know that doesn't sound like much to the big players, but for us, 5,000 in sales is like 50,000 in sales. And so we've been
the resources you began with, the time you have, the homeschooling, busy schedule.
Yeah.
Very admirable progress. And again, I say all the time, there's a lot of things that you hear us say all the time around here: inch deep, mile wide, right? Slow and steady wins the race. One of them is, I'm much more interested in your trajectory than your speed, right? I'd actually almost have you prefer, the slow and steady wins the race, right? Slowly moving in the right direction is far preferred over, all right, I believe in this, I'm going all in. Let's get a third mortgage on the house, sell the cars, have a big yard sale, and pour it all into this new ASIN we found. Like, no, whoa, what are you doing? Slow down, right? So I love the trajectory that you guys are on, because you play that out into the future, this slow and steady progress in the right direction. You guys are in a beautiful place before not too long from now.
And Jim, also, because I hear a lot of people, can you hear me fine?
Yep, sounds great.
Okay, I hear a lot of people say, oh, no, I need to be ungated from this or ungated from that. We looked into that, but then our budget was so small that I said, if we need to become ungated from something, we need to buy 10 or more. And that's going to blow our budget. So we just, we said, we're going to sell whatever we are ungated to sell in. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing. Just exactly what you said, the curtains just started opening. And all of a sudden, we started being ungated from things that maybe a couple of months before we were gated in. It started, happening for us. So my best advice to people is just, just be patient, sell what you are ungated in right now. and then just allow those curtains to open, because it's like Amazon kind of trusting you and saying, okay, you guys are doing good. And, we have not had problems with returns.
Very little.
Very little. Yes.
Health and beauty. And, things just started to open up. We wanted to get into groceries, but we weren't ungated. And then all of a sudden, one day, we were ungated.
Yes.
Right.
And then we started getting into groceries. And then we were thinking, well, apparel's a little difficult. I don't want to do shoes. That can get into, you can get a return problem there with shoes. Maybe that's not the best place to start. And then we started thinking, other things. Then we ended up looking at hats, just hats in general. What type of hats? And that opened up, and just one thing after the other started to open up. And at this point, we probably have areas that are ungated and we don't even know it yet because we're still doing our sourcing.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Yeah. Once Amazon starts to trust you, hundreds of thousands of gates fall open, and you can just begin selling. Pretty much any category is going to have wide open access to the vast majority of the ASINs in that category after you've sold 30 to 50 items. And so often, like you guys mentioned, new sellers get all worked up. Like, I can't find anything. I'm not gated for. Well, just go into one of those categories. I'll list them out, because every time this comes up, you're like, what are the categories? It's pets, pet supplies, not food, sporting goods, outdoor, anything, right? Arts and crafts, kitchen, home, housewares, that sort of thing. Wide open for the most part. There are some locked brands in every category, but for the most part, in those categories, you're going to find plenty of products that are ungated. Sell 30, 40, 50 of those items. Gates start falling open for you. Then, like you said, one day you wake up, oh, look, we're allowed to sell food. I didn't have to send out an invoice and order 10 of anything. Just boom, it's open now. That's the way to play the game. So well done. Yeah, you guys are doing great. I love it. So
that's how we test. That's how we test. We test 2 to 4 products, maybe 5 at the max. And we just, like you say, an inch deep, a mile wide. And then if it sells, we'll maybe up that from 4 to maybe 8. And then if that sells, we'll maybe add a little 2 to 4 more and see if and we'll just keep testing until we start to realize, we've hit that mark where we're just not going to get any more out of that. And that's our monthly until it stops, because eventually it's going to stop. It might be a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later. We have some that have lasted 3 months, some that have lasted a month, and then we have to just keep adding ASINs, just keep finding new ones to keep adding.
That's right. That's the system. You're exactly right. That's how you scale. We got many people who've built beautiful businesses doing just what you described.
Yeah. So that's where we are right now. And as far as numbers are concerned, I can tell you that we have, from what I was looking at, seller board, and that's another thing. We do have Keep Up, we do have seller board, and we have Be Cool. Now, Be Cool was a big change for us as well. When I no longer had to manually go in there, and I would manually go in there because I would do it straight from the app at work. I was like, 1 penny up, 1 penny down, And let me tell you, when we got the repricer, that really opened up, putting the coaching with the repricer, that was huge. The change was definitely significant, to the point where I'd say at least somewhere between 40 or 50% more sales right there. And so we have Be Cool, we have Seller Board, and we have Keep Up. And that's pretty much it. That's what we do, and that's it. And yes, there are other tools that we want to use, but we want to be able to use them when we have the proper budget, because we have to, you have to know your numbers. And I would say we're at 88% ROI, 25% margin. That's
fantastic. That's a beautiful level to be at. Yeah, very good.
So
wow, you guys
it's just been a real blessing.
You guys are building something really special. Do you have any specific goals for the end of the year, kind of where you want to be for December or for the year?
We do. I mean, for the month, right now, we were hoping to have a total by December of 50,000 in sales in total. I think that if we hit that benchmark, that will definitely help us to catapult to the next. But not only are we trying to reach the 10,000 in sales per month, but we're trying to reach in total 50,000. I'm hoping between September, October, November, December that we will be able to hit that mark. And hopefully, I would love to finish this year in December hitting 10K that month.
Yeah.
And I think it's doable. I think
it's very doable. It's very doable. Absolutely, it is. Yeah, the Q4 of this year, the final 3 months of the year, are going to be the biggest e-commerce. I mean, it's a trend. It's not like some kind of magical prognostication here that I'm giving. It's happened every year for the past 20 some years, but bigger every year. Amazon is bigger every Q4, and it's going to happen again this year. So you guys are definitely within reach of a $10,000 a month, assuming you're buying the good ASINs, doing your research, following the replens strategy. You mentioned the 0 to 100 module with Jimmy, or 0 to 10,000. I mean, that's a module inside the Proven Amazon course. It has everything you need. That's where you should be focused. I agree. You don't get real heavy on tools and lists and services. Nope. Stick to the basics. I love that you guys are doing retail. That is just such a predictable way to go grab great inventory right off the shelf, inspect it, make sure the dates are good, everything, no crushed corners on the box. You guys are hitting it. You guys are in a great position. I think you've really encouraged a lot of people today too with what you've shared.
Well, we appreciate just being able to share everything that you and your community have made possible. And we just, the good Lord opens the door, and, all we have to do is walk through it. And yes, it does take work, and it's not going to be something simple. But then again, I always tell my wife, nothing that is worthwhile in life is just going to require no sacrifice or investment on your end. You have to be invested. And you have to also be very consistent. And if that's something that we've learned is you have to be persistently consistent, because that is the name of the game. If you are not consistent, then things are going to fizzle out and you're going to go in reverse instead of moving forward. But if you do something every day, even if it's just a little bit every day, then your progress will keep moving in the right direction. And that's what I kind of focus on is, we may not have a lot of resources, and we may not be doing 10, 50,000 a month like other sellers, but we just are moving that line forward little by little in the right direction at the pace that we are able to. And that's all we can do until we get to a next level, and then we'll move from there, But it's one day at a time.
The compounding effect of having an 80% ROI fund pool that you're turning over rapidly, that's going to grow into significantly more money very quickly, right? Because it's not 80% annualized ROI, it's 80% per transaction. And if you're rolling that money back over into new inventory, that is a significant ROI. I mean, you don't have to look far to hear podcast episodes where we have people who started with a couple $100, and pretty soon they're paying for coaching, they're paying off tens of thousands of dollars of student debt, and now they're wildly profitable, never having added any additional funds because of the ROIs that you guys are seeing in your hunting for ASIN. So it sounds like you're doing a good job of being picky about the inventory you select, which is key. You've paid attention well to that lesson for sure. And yeah, you guys have a beautiful business. Your trajectory is fantastic. As I like to say, if you guys were a stock, I'd be buying some for sure. Right.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, for sure. You guys are on a great trajectory, and we stand by ready to support you guys. I mean, obviously through the coaching with the community. I think you're going to pick up a lot of fans today from the listening to this. I like those guys. And I mentioned
we love you guys.
Yeah, we love this community so much. And let me tell you, Jim, going to the conference was so wonderful because, you got to see other sellers, people that are on, they're a little higher than you on the same level. They're starting off, and we all have the same goal, which is, to grow a beautiful business, for our families. And let me tell you, we got back, and, you are a believer, that the enemy is always trying to do something. And we just went through so many different struggles when we got back. But the joy of that conference, the joy of being there and going through all these little workshops and just learning and
learning, listening, and being able to rub shoulders with everyone, and you just learn something from everyone.
Yes.
There's not a conversation that you will have with someone there where you will not learn something from them and walk away and say, oh, wow, that was a great conversation. I wrote that down, and we need to do that, or we need to look into that. And so it was just a real blessing to go there and to see that it's not just Priscilla and I here by ourselves. There's a huge community that is part of this effort, and that you can reach out to anyone, and anyone at any moment in time is so welcoming, so friendly, and willing to assist and help. And you really just we have people that we met at the conference that send us messages just, hey, how are you guys doing? And just encouraging and motivating us. And I'm like, wow, like this is like extra coaching. I mean, we're getting more coaching that's not even part of the coaching, but we're getting other sellers that they just have a genuine interest in the community itself, reaching out to us saying, hi, how are you guys doing? I just wanted to check in with you. And same, we're doing the same with others. And even our own coaches, I mean, just everyone, I cannot, attest further to the importance of being connected to the community. And I understand that the manner in which we were blessed with coaching is going to be different. But if you're able to, I mean, if we had the resources, that would have been a no-brainer. I mean, it would just, flip the switch. But if you're thinking about it, if you're pondering whether you should or you shouldn't, listen, let me tell you, do it. You're not going to be sorry. It is worth more than what you're putting in, for sure. And even the relationships that you're going to make are worth far more. The relationships are priceless. That's what I would say about it.
I say all the time, Marcus, I really appreciate what you're sharing there. And I say all the time that if coaching didn't include one-on-one sessions with a coach, it just got you into the room with the other great people that you now have all these things in common with, and you just build relationships with those people. It's worth the price of admission. The coaching itself, the instruction, is almost like the cherry on top of just the overall benefit of the community. Because I've made this observation after doing e-commerce coaching for 20 years, I'm finally learning some things. And one of them I've mentioned a lot lately, but the people who make it are the people like you who are building relationships. They're receiving and sending supportive messages with others in the community. The people who just kind of go out and lone wolf, like, just give me the instructions, tell me what to do, leave me alone. I don't need the community. I just need the information. Those people don't make it.
No.
They can be intelligent, they can be well-funded, they can be motivated, they can be whatever. It doesn't matter. Without community, e-commerce is just hard to the point where so few people actually make it. With community, almost no one fails if they really plug in and build those relationships. So you guys are on another reason why I think you guys are on a tremendous trajectory and have a very
and I definitely want to give a shout out to Mike, our first coach. I want to give a shout out to Larry and Sue. We love you guys. Yes. You guys are amazing, and you're amazing people before being amazing coaches. So I just wanted to say that we love you guys, and we wanted to give a shout out to you guys as well. And Jim, and well, of course, to Susan, no doubt. But we just wanted to say that we wanted it to.
And to Matt Thompson,
wow. Superstar.
And you guys love Deborah, right?
Deborah's amazing. Yes. Everyone that is part of the team and the people that we met, even these sponsors. We met the sponsors personally, the Be Cool sponsors, and the credit, the cards, the rebate cards.
Oh, the rebate cards.
The young man,
Taylor.
Yes, Taylor. Yes. And we just had amazing conversations with all of them. And, Amy from is she in Vermont? But we just, every one of the speakers that you had on was just amazing. And we're so grateful. And we can't wait for the next one.
Well, hey, good set us up to talk about the Proven Conference 2024. Yeah, coming up in May. Get over to theprovenconference.com for details. But we're going to be down closer to your place this time, right?
Yes.
Going to Orlando. So
right.
We have both of our daughters are graduating. One high school, the other one is college. So we're like, oh my gosh, we have to make this like a big,
just like a big graduation /
conference.
May is going to be busy in your house, huh?
Yes. It's a good thing.
It's a very good thing.
I'm so grateful to spend some time with you guys today, and not to cut you off if you had any questions for me, any other tips or anything, but you guys have really told an incredible story of resilience and persistence, consistency, a lot of the themes that we love to talk about around here. You're doing it with an abundance mindset, just full of gratitude, with small numbers by your own admission. Like we'd all like to add some commas and zeros to our business, but you look at the trajectory, I can't emphasize enough. Man, you guys are going to be in such a great place. What a great story. And I told you guys, I started to say this earlier, but I didn't quite get to it, that before we hit record today, I see you guys as future leaders and influencers and on stage and presenting and creating content. Like that's the trajectory. You guys aren't flash in the pan. You've been around a while. You understand the culture, the community. You took your time kind of diving in. Now that you're slow and steady on your growth. Those are the best leaders. I'm asked sometimes, how did you come up with a team of 100 plus people that have all bought into this vision and mission? I said, well, the easiest thing to do is to bet on somebody who's built a beautiful business and sustained over a significant period of time while having an abundance mindset. Like you find someone like that, you want them on your team. That's what our team consists of. And you guys have all of that.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll add commas and zeros soon enough.
Yeah.
The commas and zeros are coming. It's inevitable, right? But the other qualities are more rare. And I really appreciate the heart, the spirit you guys have. And I wish you guys lived closer. The kind of people I'd love to hang out with.
Oh, man,
that'd
Jim.
be great, man. Yeah, we feel the same way, Jim, about you and your entire team.
Yeah.
An amazing group of people, and the fact that that faith is a part of it, and that you're a God-fearing man makes it just even better.
Yeah, and I've talked to Marcus about this, but I remember I said, man, wouldn't it be nice to be on a podcast? And then I would listen to podcasts. I'm like, oh man, we're still not there with our numbers.
We still feel that way. I don't think we were supposed to be on the podcast, but if you deemed so, then we're happy to be of any help.
Right. But I said, I might not share those huge numbers, but I can share the love that we have for God and that He's answered our prayers and just opened the door. Because, the fact that we're getting like every 2 weeks, we get money from Amazon. And that is so rewarding to see, that there's a payout there for us. And before, we didn't have that. We didn't have that option in our life. It was His salary. And whatever God allowed, it was maybe grandparents sending in some money for the kids or, tax returns or something like that. But to be able to see that we're working together, our kids help us pack. So they're part of the business as well. And, we're all learning as a family, but we're all joyful to see that even our mistakes, we learn from it, and this is part of business. They're going to, they want to study in college, but if that doesn't work out, they can be entrepreneurs. They can have something to fall back on, which is what we want.
And we're meeting people in our community. The UPS store knows us really well now, we're meeting people, and some people ask us, hey, what's up with all these boxes? Well, why don't we have a cup of coffee one day and come, let's sit down and talk over a cup of coffee, and I'll share some things about why we've got so many boxes here.
Right. And we would love to open a prep center. I tell Marcus, that's my heart. We serve right now in a Spanish-speaking church, and there's a lot of people there that are, from Venezuela, and, they don't have their permits yet.
Or they come from very humble beginnings.
Right.
And we figure, wow, wouldn't it be great to help a community that could really use the help? And, not just church folk, but anyone that's, an immigrant or coming in and just needs a place where they can make some money and work for their family. And I was thinking a prep center would be a great idea to do that. So we're hoping and praying for that, as well as something else that we can include as an income stream, but also as a help stream. So we got an income stream, we got a help stream. Hopefully your income stream is a help stream. If it's helping others, then the money will come.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you're serving others well, the money flows, man. I've certainly learned that lesson over the years. Well, you guys have a great trajectory, great plans ahead, a bright future. And it's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Thank
you so much.
I do have a hard stop coming at me here fairly quickly, so we'll need to start landing this episode. But man, what a pleasure hanging out with you guys today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Jim.
Thank you so much. Well, let me talk to the listeners for just a moment as we wind this one down and just remind you of a few things. If you want to hear hundreds of episodes where we've interviewed the successful students from our community at all levels of success, Marcus and Prissy were very open, sharing their details today. We've got people doing multiple six figures a month, everything in between. Sometimes people are intimidated by big numbers. So I know for a fact that there are listeners today, maybe it's you, that said, wow, okay, I can relate to these guys, right? That's great. That's why we do this whole spectrum of success stories and results as a service to you. So if you want to hear dozens of recent episodes with interviews, that's what this podcast typically is. Just scroll back in time, go to silentjimdotcom/podcast and check it out. Or if you want to be in a Facebook group we just hit 73,000 people and we just passed our 10-year anniversary, which is pretty cool for the Facebook group, completely free. Hang out, see a whole bunch of people sharing their success. And as we shared today, their blood, sweat, and tears, their struggles. Yeah, we put it all out there, but we support each other. We do this business through an abundance mindset, which means there's plenty of success out there for whoever wants to go after it. We're going to encourage you to do just that. So if you're new to our community, we'd love to see you be a part of that. But one last time, big shout out. Thank you so much. Marcus, Prissy, you guys were phenomenal. Great to hang out with you today.
Great to be here.
It's great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. God bless you, brother.
Yes.
Thank you so much. God bless you guys. And I'll treasure that picture we took together at the event too. You guys have such a beautiful family. It was such a pleasure hanging out with you guys. But we'll do it again, May of 2024, The Proven Conference. You guys are coming again. We'll be there right down the road from you guys this time. And along with hundreds of others from our community. Hopefully the listeners can join us as well. But we'll have another great episode for you again very soon. God bless all the business building warriors. We'll talk to you then. Hey, before I let you go, one last reminder about an easy way to save money on every purchase you make online or in stores by using discounted gift cards. There's a free special report that's been set up by our latest sponsor, Arbitrage Card. You can get this report, tells you how to go find these great discounted cards. Go to silentjim.com/gift cards. That's silentjim.com/gift cards, all one word. The link is in the show notes as well. Go grab that report.